The second example deals more explicitly with the church's declared mission as such, the making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Now, not surprisingly, as one would expect, the report takes at face value the denominational mission and the 4 focus areas designed to give it practical expression. Consequently, its analysis and recommendations center around ways to align and to streamline the church's organization for more efficient, effective, and affordable implementation of this mission. It is, in my view anyway, perhaps at this point in the report that the absence of careful theological analysis reveals the biggest limitations in the report, I think. Because I think theological analysis would have pointed out that the fundamental difficulty lies not in the implementation of the mission, but in how the mission is theologically framed and articulated. To be sure, distributing the 4 focus areas between 4 general agencies, especially given the difficulties we've already covered earlier, virtually ensured their mutual insulation from one another, encouraging a tendency, certainly among the faithful, to pick and choose among these the ones that they want or like or wish to support, and not so much messing with the others. And as a consequence, I think, because this is how we work this, we miss what I think could be a truly transformative potential for these focus areas. And it's not very hard to begin to think along about this potential to transform. All one has to do is think these 4 things together. For example, we claim to have a fundamental commitment to the poor as one of our focus areas. We also have a fundamental commitment to starting new churches and a fundamental commitment to leadership development. Now, if you think those 3 things together, how would a commitment to the poor impact where we start our churches, why we start them, and with whom we start them? And how would those 2 things put together, if we take those seriously, how would that impact the kind and quality of leader we develop? What is needed from a leader? And I'm not even talking here about so-called entrepreneurial leaders. Forget that. I'm simply talking about faithful and courageous leaders. Okay. All right. All one has to do is think along these lines, I think, to see the truly transformative potential of these focus areas. But they've got to be considered together. Unfortunately, we are not set up to do that because we fracture them through the system that we've created. The larger question, though, that I have, and here I get into stuff that I've written about elsewhere, so I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I think that the mission statement as we have it, making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world, uncoupled as it is from its biblical and theological framework, the injunction to make disciples, borrowing, of course, from Matthew 28, 19, and 20, becomes, I think, largely an empty phrase. It becomes a mantra to which one could impute whatever content one's particular theological persuasion demands. So I think in some ways our mission statement is a task without an identity. It's a function without form, if to put it that way. No wonder that the faithful are confused and in conflict about, quote, what the church's mission of making disciples is or should be, as the report tells us. So I think one of the key challenges to us becomes how United Methodists can draw on our rich Wesleyan and Methodist heritage to fashion a vision of discipleship in a Wesleyan way that will allow us, this great denomination, to quote Rusen and Neiman again, bear our particular legacy faithfully and effectively into a changing future.